All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Sam here with you, 27th of August, about 12:30 for me here. And of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin today. Now, we're going to dig into some detail here and look at a couple of scenarios here that may be underway. I have been starting out here on the daily just because we have this just beautiful setup here and what I've called potentially the perfect Elliott wave count. But I'm starting here because I think now, for a couple of reasons. One, I think it really highlights why I continue to stay in the camp that this corrective action, say it this way, right? That this has not been fully corrected with that. Now, could be, right? I mean, there's many across the crypto space that feel like the 4's in, and now it's just 1, 2, boom, we're in the 3, and off we go. We can't eliminate that possibility, right? I mean, certainly it's possible. I continue to think the time imbalance is a problem for Bitcoin here, just to charge off to new highs. There's plenty of time here, but you would certainly call this a sharp correction here. It resolves with this sharp sell-off here. Well, of course, that's the COVID move. But if we're going to apply guidelines of alternation, this being sharp and this being sideways, I am starting to lean into this count here that we might just kind of stay range bound here below, let's just round numbers, from 30 to 50 as we push sideways and we burn off some time and get in better sync with the time imbalance that I think is hard not to spot. There are no guarantees, right? It's not saying, well, it must take more time. I mean, the 4, it could be in. Could be. Right? We've looked at some counts. They're not, the ideal count, but it's certainly a possibility here. So that we can't eliminate this. But this guideline of alternation is an important component of the Elliott Wave Theory, and this is a good segue for me. One of the things that you get as a benefit of just joining our Discord, and that's as a free member, right? We're a free social or educational member. We just give this to you. This is our Elliott Wave rules and guidelines here. 13 pages where you're going to see right now impulses are relatively straightforward, but diagonals, ending diagonals, zigzags, all the corrections, right? The most challenging part of Elliott Wave is all the corrections and the many variations that can happen through corrections. So you see, it's not just oh, well, here's the diagram. It's details as to what you can expect within each wave, what its function is, it actionary or reactionary, and then rules and guidelines for each one of these structures. So this is really, talk about a fair trade, right? You come in, join us in the Discord, you spend no money, and we just give this to you. All right, so if you're interested in Elliott Wave, or you're a student of Elliott Wave and you're trying to apply it, this would be, here, I'll show you an example. I still refer to this. It's something I struggled with last week. It was the sharp double zigzag, where I wasn't sure if it was a triple or a double. Here, we'll refer back to that. I still refer back to this. It's really something to have on your desk, right? So if you get into a spot and go, that looks like it might be, could be, do I have a sideways triple combo? Because I can't make sense, right? So just my point being, this is a valuable guide, and we just give it to you, right? So just another incentive to join us. And then, of course, additionally, you'll get the white belt course. It's 4 hours of TA education. That's all free for you. You'll get early access to all of the videos that we make public, like the Bitcoin videos, for example, and some of the things that my partners and senseis produce. So, it's a pretty good trade-off to just to enter our little world here and see if it's a fit for you, right, before you spent any money. All right, so there you go. All right, let me get back to where I was here, because I think that is just worth mentioning, and I always forget to mention it. So what do we do here? Well, here I am in log scale, so we can see from log we've broken through the golden zone, and now we're just shy of the 707. So we are still very much in that zone. Oh, here, let me just do it this way. Well, really, that would be, you could use that. There's ideal B, right? 618 up to the 887. I'm going to show you why I think this is going to get really interesting, right, for an Elliottician. If we just keep ripping higher, this is going to get, well, it's going to be fascinating. So with that said, and us sitting here, here's our support zone here, and now pushing into this B territory. If it's going to hold as a B, this is going to get interesting, right? Particularly with this little sell-off that we just had, which, hard to tell if it's just a little crack in the ice here of this move here, or perhaps of something bigger. We shall see. But right now, boy, this count is Oh, here, let's dig into it. So I'm going to come over here. Now, let's see. I know you can't see a lot of this. Well, let's see. Hang on a second. Let me start here. We'll come back to that because I really dug in there. This is a little more detail. Now, I'm out of log scale here. All right, so just to make that distinction, so if you're trying to follow along or match some of this in and out of log is going to make a big difference. Okay, so the premise of the count that I'm leaning into is that the major three is in, so here we are, that's that 3. Now we can come down here, we get 5 into the A. I'm still of the camp, right, as I have been for the last couple of weeks, that we are working through an A, B, and we are seeking the top if we don't already have it. We are seeking the top of the B wave, pardon me. We are seeking the C wave here to give us the B wave. So it would be A, B, potentially C, D, E. Well, we'll see in terms of what comes. But with regards to where we are now, it's 3 into the A, we have to expand the B, call it ending diagonal here to give us our C of this B. And now we're going through the impulse and we're seeking the pivot up here for the B. So it would be A, B, pardon me, A, Jesus Christ, can I get this right? Here, A, B, if we don't already have it, we're seeking the B. Now, do we go C, D, E, or something else, right? Or we're going to go down for a straight C into the 4. Well, there's a couple of important points here, this being the significant one here. As per the way I think most Elliotticians are going to count this, but probably not all. It's just the nature of Elliott Wave. That we have to pay attention to this level. So let's call it I think it's 54.9 and change, but let's just call it 55 for a round number here. If we get up here, we have to recount this because at that point in time, and I know this is a little hard to see, but let me draw it here. I think this will be easier. If indeed it's 1, 2, and I think, well, let's just stay with that. If this is 1, 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, now there's a pretty reasonable case that we may have completed here. So if I take this off, oh, come here, get it. All right, so that's what we have. Again, I know you can't see in there, but that's where what we have that has completed when we started the first little correction here, right, which you can see right here. Now, let me get some more space. What's going to be interesting about this? I mean, this is not an uncommon structure in Elliott Wave to have the extension in the 1. Right, and then what you'll note here is that each swing is getting progressively smaller in amplitude, right? So big push here, can't get as much here, even less here. So it would be just an ideal scenario here for this to have popped. What's interesting here, and when we break into this, if indeed all this was just a correction, and now we're going to go again, well, in terms of how you would count that, this is going to get really difficult. So just think of it. So let me try and let's just, again, here, just stay theoretical here. If this is 3, 4, 5, right? Well, if we keep going or we push past that invalidation point, well, you're going to start to run out of options here because the 2 here is going to be a problem, as has been the case since the COVID low. We're going to run into a problem with the 2 again, because what you'd want to do is think, oh, well, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that all plays rather nicely, and we don't get the 5 here, well, okay, so then your first thought, oh, well, no problem, extension in the 5th. Except if this is, here, let me just finish it here, so I have to lower if this is 1, 2, and we're going 3, 4, 5, and let me bring that down here, change the color real quick. Okay, so if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, oh, well, okay, all of a sudden, this becomes a problem because we'll reach that point where 5 would be longer than 3, and as far as rules and guidelines are going, if we go back to impulse here, rules that can never, ever, ever be compromised, right? Wave 3 can never, under any circumstances, be the shortest and must terminate past the end point of wave 1, right? So there's no little force fit or we'll allow a little bit. No, that's a rule that can never be broken. So thus 1, 2, 3, 4, we can't have this go any further. Thus the invalidation point here where this count runs into trouble. So how else would we count this? Well, this is going to get really tricky because if we go up here and instead of getting the 5, we go 1, 2, I'm struggling just to think about through how we're going to count that. what you're going to want to put the 3 up here, but there's not a clean solution here when we look into it. That's what you're going to want to be doing. Oh, and the other possibility here, oh God, let's see, is that we're going to go 1 2 1 2 1 2, right? And okay, can't eliminate it. These are very shallow 2s, right? The first one's a shallow 2, but if it's 1 2 1 2 1 2. Well, we're getting mighty, mighty, mighty bullish, right? So obviously, right, if all of those 1 2s are seeking a 3, well, blowing out the old high is going to be no problem. And then from there, we're going to back our way into, well, I guess the 4 is in. So much for that time imbalance here. I guess the market is just too strong, too good, too many buyers, whatever you want to, however you want to rationalize it. More buyers than sellers, more demand than supply, right? If this is going to be the 4, well, this count is going to be a real bear, right? We'll get there in a second, but I just wanted to kind of do this just in a line drawing here so you can see the challenge the Elliottician is going to run into here, which, I mean, this is a high-class problem. If you're long Bitcoin, as I think I've made it pretty clear that I am, if you're very long, just in terms of holding, not in terms of leveraged longs here or shorts, just in terms of your holding capital, well, 1 2 1 2 1 2 is not going to disappoint me. I think that's less likely, but that seems to be what we're headed to if we can't reconcile this, or if the top is not already in. So let me get rid of all that. Okay, with all that said, let me pop over here. Oh, not there. Where do I want? I want to go here. Okay, so here I did a little more detail work. Okay, so let's... Well, a couple of things here before we go into the nuance of all of these counts here. So this, I've got a couple of just traditional Elliott channels on here. So right off the bat, in gold, just connecting the 1 and the 2. Now, if it was here, let me hide that one. Let's hide that one. Okay, so if I'm just connecting the 1 and the 2, and I'm projecting up for the 3, what you're trying to do is nail the 3. Well, we get close here, but then it has another leg. So this... Right, in pure Elliott, what you would have preferred to see there is for this 3 at least get, if not overshoot, right, and then come down for the 4. But we run up, we come a little shy here, which is part of what's creating the problem here. From an Elliott perspective, well, problem is the wrong way to say it. It's just, this is creating the challenges here in terms of how we interpret. Okay, so if it's 1 2, I think... Oh, I'd be hard-pressed to find an Elliottician who's not going to call this a completed impulse, given that what followed, right? So an impulse completes here. Well, this is a bit ugly, but we'd have to give it a 3. We'd have to call it a 3, right? Very long A, shallow C. Right, so we get a little 2. Well, now, again, there's an impulse that completes here. We can't ignore it, or we can't say, well, that's screwing up my count completely, so I'm just going to call it something else. It's an impulse, period, right? So we have to account for it. So how do we fit that in? Well, as I just said, it could be 1 2 1 2 1 2. I would go there only if the market forces me to, right? As in we get another launch, right? So maybe this weekend we launch up here, we blow out the invalidation point at 55. What are we at now? Well, 48. Well, that might be too much for the weekend. Bitcoin, you never know. Well, anyway, either way, at 55, this count falls apart, and we have to relabel and rethink through what it would be. And my first thought is that 1 2 1 2 1 2. Again, good news for bulls. I'm not ready to go there yet. But note here, so if I just use 1 and 2, I miss on 3, but I nail 4. See, let me show you this. See, it would look like what I did was I connected the 2 and the 4, right? But that's not what I did. I connected the 2 and the 1, right? Then all I did was extend it to the right, right? So that it's just, I mean, well, shit, I'm probably off by a tick or two there. Get that up right on that 2. Nails the 2 and the 4, right? But what we were trying to get is the 3. We don't get it. Now we go, oh shit, let's see if I can find it. Now we go, oh shit, where are you going to be? Here it is. Now we go to traditional. Let me change that color here. Well, here, I'll hide the other one. Right, so that one's a miss. Now let me hide that one. Now we go from 2 to 3, the proposed 3, and I miss on the 4, miss on the 5. So we're slightly off, right? The ideal channeling that you would look for in a good Elliott wave impulse. Now the wild card being how long the 1 is. But again, you can just see it. It's just, you can see it. You can't miss it, right? each leg is getting shorter than the next, right? Which would imply weakness. Now, oh, you might go to your oscillators. What do I have down here? This is RSI, and that's so cum delta. That might be, no, it's a little more nuanced here for shorter term stuff. But we don't need it here. So, but you see the challenge here for the Elliottician. Okay, well, it sure looks like we've completed. Now, we'd be completing, this would be, oh, that's a bit of a front run. That's a bit much for a front run on the golden zone here. That's over, is that a grand? Yeah, it is. It's a little over a grand. It's about a grand. This would be a front run in front of the golden zone. That's a little much. That would surprise me. But again, just working through what we've got to work with here. 1, 2, I want to go 3, 4. All right, I'm inclined to put the 5 here until proven otherwise. Because as we look here, we're going to find ourselves right back into, oh, well, if it's 1, 2, there's my invalidation point. So even if you just teed that up, oh, well, here you can see, since we go golden zone here, this is going to be the 1618. This will be close to the 100, which is going to be right length of the 3. So we've got these significant points up here where we're going to invalidate, and we're going to have to circle back here and go, well, I'll be damned. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, I know the Uber bulls would love to see that. This is the oddest thing, right? Is I have been, I don't know anyone, well, maybe Michael Saylor and Pompliano are more bullish than I have been, but I don't know many educators that have been more raging bull. I mean, how long have I been doing this? 3.5 years, the whole time, right? Didn't matter, right? Bullish the whole time. Now I'm cautiously reviewing it because I'm just basing that off of not off what I want to have happen, right? I'm long as hell. I want Bitcoin to 1 million, but the reality as a technician is you know your emotion and what you want. Right, that'll get you in trouble. What's right in front of me? Well, I see problems to the bull count here. Right. So now let's zoom in here a little bit. Now I'm down all the way down to a 30-minute off of the proposed B low here. So the extension 1 complete the impulse. Now I can complete another impulse up here. It's a little funky, right? The 2s continue to be the problem. Well, here, let's open it up. Right, here's the section I was just talking about. Right, oh shit, we're right here. This section right here. Oh, that's not what I want. Right, where I just, where it looks like we've got to go WXY, right? And that being the good example here of, I think I just showed you guys this when we had this, sharp double zigzag, right? Now, ideally, the ABC at the tail end of it wouldn't be so shallow, as opposed to what we, oh shit, where'd you go? Oh shit, where is it? Right here. All right, so this the first ABC here, right? But if you're looking at, okay, well that's clearly a 5, that's clearly a 3. There's another 5. Okay, so that completes a zigzag. That's a 3. That can be my X, although ideally you'd anticipate the X to be higher because the problem is you had to work backwards because this finishes as a 3. That's kind of all you're left with. Wrestled with that last week. Okay, so coming off of this this proposed 4 here of this internal count. Well, 1, 2. It looked like you might have had the 3 here, but it has another leg on it, so you're kind of stuck. Well, either you're going to do the 1 here and the 2 here, but I think it plays better to have the big rip here in the 3. You got to go WXY here again because that's a 3. That's a 3. That has to be acknowledged as a 3. You can't squeeze a 5 in there. So once again, you're still it's in there, the expanded combination. So we go ABC, ABC, ABC gives us the proposed 4 here at this degree. Now I finish up here, and while it's not much of a 5th, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now look, this is significant. So what comes off of this, we go right into a ripping impulse, right? So it's 5 down. So this can guide us, right? So your first thought here, as we put this in, as it comes down here in 5. Well, if we're anticipating a deeper correction, which would be what I would be anticipating, then you might have thought, oh, hey, it's 5, right? So it's either an A or it's a 1. Well, if this is the B, if the B is in here, we're working through the proposed C, so this could be A, B, C, right? Might be. Could be the 1, 2, 3, although I think the range here will be problematic if this is going to be the 1 of the A. You know, our target down here would be, high 30s. So for that to be the 1, you just kind of do the math and you go, oh, well, maybe the math is the wrong way to look at it. It was just the fib swing relationships. If we got a 3, 4, and a 5, if that's the A wave, well, then the triangle probably falls apart because it would be we would need more room. Oh, where is it? Right. So if this here, that target for that C, 31. Oh, God, I keep losing my place here. So 31. So if this is 1, 2, and we're going to go 3, we'd be at 45, 8. Well, then you'd be more inclined to think it was likely to be just a straight zigzag. But as it sits right now, here, I got to zoom in there a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we can't ignore that. So it's 5. And it's pretty good technically. Now, it's a little funky in here, but you'll note, right, and I know members have all done this, right? So many of you have acknowledged it. So what do? Right, of course, Bitcoin is incredibly responsive. We go right to the golden zone, right? 65 to the tick. But it wasn't just there. Oh, let's see if I've got it right here. So just to put this back in here. So I know all my members have all seen this, right? Because I've conditioned you for this. So swing, retrace, golden zone. Where's our target? Right here. I have to jiggle it here. Here's the green line right here. So it goes just far enough to get through to clear the target, taps the golden zone, and then reacts out of it. So this is just straight algos at play here, right? So this algo here gets its target right here. This algo here kicks in with a target up here. Right? Just algo ping pong, right? Happens every day in every market at every time frame all day long. All day long. If I showed you in the futures market where we're simulating a 1 minute chart, how many times that algo hits its target, it would blow your mind. Blow your mind. And you'd understand why when you hear me say things like, well, they don't care if they get stopped out here because they'll eventually get it because they hit it so many times. So many times it would just blow your mind. Anyway, 5 down. 3 up right to the golden zone, goes to its target. Well, this is a cluster, right? So whatever this is, I'm not even going to try and count that. Why, right? And until I get something else here, this is just slop. Now I'm down on the 30-minute here. Oh, I suppose you'd have to, Jesus, I don't even know if you can get a count on this. But you probably have to be at some sort of an A because this is the highest high, some sort of very funky diagonal, but I really don't think there's a need to try and count that yet. Now, if it starts to take a little bit better shape, like you can kind of see from here, maybe that's a 3 going in, and well then maybe, right? But right now, as it sits here, it's just algo ping pong, right? So this is just typical market volatility. So if I can, do I have that one locked? I do have that one locked. Okay, so let me hide that one. Now this is the one that's in play. So whenever, well, let me back up. Oh, let's see. Oh, can I go back one more? Right. Okay. So whenever we have Bitcoin in a, let's see if I can find it, in a golden zone, right? That creates the golden corner. Right? So just one at a time, right? Just these are, yeah. Like to think, right? So whether or not you short Bitcoin or not, but if you're a short-term trader, there's your 80%, right? So, I mean, I just say this. I mean, every week, I mean, I don't know that I've ever done a video where I haven't had to say this, right? Because it just happens all the time. There's your 80% right there. Well, right, it keeps going, right? So you knew you had a target here, but there's your 80% right there. Now, that's more than you realize, right? So even if you just took it to the median line, there's, $1,500. $1,500 move. $1,500 move straight to the median line. Now, do you take profit there? Well, it's probably a reasonable spot to reduce any risk that you had, maybe lock in some profit, because you still have a target down here. Right? Nails the target. What stops it? Buy side algo, right? I can show you this 5,000 times. I think I have shown it 5,000 times. The only thing I can't do is pull the trigger for you. Right? So with that in, let's hide that one because, of course, right now we've just come out of that golden zone. So what do we have going the other direction? Right? Exact same thing. Right? 80% odds right there. Right? Where's the target? Right? Do I have it over here? That would put us at 52. I think our invalidation point we were talking about was 55. Here's our invalidation point right here, 55 and change. So we could go up there and nail that, get that target, We know this algorithm is here with that target. Now, the median line is just we're adding an odds play into that. The algorithm here is not factoring in a median. Well, I shouldn't say that, right? There could be algorithms here that have added that into the mix. I don't have any confirmation of that. We right, in terms of me adapting this to how I was taught, this just became a natural add-on to the algorithm here. So since I know I got 80% odds here, right? Emphasis, right? I have to say this every week. As long as this pivot holds, I got 80% odds here, right? I'll take 80% odds anytime I can get it. I just got it on the way down. Now I'm going to get it on the way up, right? Again, doesn't mean that it must go there, but I got 80% odds that it does. That's not 100%. That's 80%. So 20% odds we're going lower. Think of it that way, right? Which way do you want to be? Well, of course, now coming back up, you're going to have the same problem, right? So, right, there's always an algo on the other side. You can't forget that. Let me unlock that, because what do you got to deal with coming back? All right, so yeah, that's pretty tight there. Okay, so if we get up here, right, let's just say whatever happens here, we get right there, right? You're going to have the exact same thing, right? So this is a good example. All right, so if we get right here, and then we get right there, you say, well, hey, how can you have two competing golden corners that each have 80% odds of getting there, right? Well, again, 80% is not 100%. So one of these is going to fail. Now, it could be that if this pushes higher, we've got to draw differently here. So we don't get a golden. We could get a corner. We get a corner pocket. You get a corner at the 50, right? Look what we just did, right? We just did the 50, right? So we actually, if I can get that out of there, you have your 80% right there. Your 80% is potentially in play for that target. Pardon me. Oh, where's my edge? Right here. Here you got to look to the left to track it. So here's that target. Now we'd be breaking the golden zone if I'm going to go further. Now if I get that, now the idea of potentially going deeper, and the idea that maybe that if this is an A and that's a B, well, this could be 1, 2, 3. Right? Just play it out. 4, 5. Now where are we? We're at, right? Oh, let's put it down here. 40. Where are we at 40? Right? Running into some of this structure, and then perhaps then at what is that? 40 and change. Let's go back here. 40 and change here for the C. 31. We wouldn't be there yet. So you'd need, well, shit, nothing says we have to go to that trend line, but that's where that would be a reasonable target. So you might be back here thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to hit A, B, C would get me down lower. All these possibilities remain in play. But the point I'm trying to make here is that right now, let's just zoom back in there. We know this one is in play looking for that target. We have this one in play here. So if I go into that, here, we just look what we just did. Here, I'm going to take this off. Right? We just tagged the 50 reaction. Right? Now, we know why that's happening. It's not, right? So I think we're past the point now where I have to say, I promise you that's not random. Of course, again, you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at your charts, right? Just look over. I mean, in Bitcoin, 1,000 measured moves here. I could probably come up on an hourly chart over its history. Maybe less. Maybe I have to go down to a smaller time frame. But there's a whole lot of them. So if you think that's random, okay. Well, if you think that's random, I'm not sure I can help you if you think that's random here, but I promise you it's not. So we get a little reaction there, but that doesn't mean we're done, because whatever this is doing here, boy, that certainly doesn't look impulsive, does it? Right? It looks like just chop. So as one trend, excuse me, using my mute button, as one trend is fighting to survive, right? So the short trend is running into trouble here, and all of this chop here as bulls try and push it back, bears try and break it down. That often will create this kind of chop here as we hit these technical levels. Now we go straight into the 50. Boy, well, you don't know, but because they're right here, there's really not a count that I can lean into. So since that's not a priority, I don't need it. I can see swing. I went to the 50 and I got a target down here. Well, I can look at that and say, okay, well, that's one possibility. That would kill this one, right? So this corner pocket would be denied. Now, remember, Now look where we are here. Trading principle number 4. A failure to make the median line sets up a move equal to or greater than the move that failed to get there. So we would understand what happened. Now you could pull down here and do the same thing. You wouldn't have a golden relative to this pivot, but you'd still have a corner pocket. Right now, we stay with the golden, aware that that could be the pivot. Now, Bitcoin is mighty, mighty responsive at the golden zone, so I'd be surprised if we don't come up a little further, particularly with what's going on in the markets today and the whole risk-on vibe that the Fed is just saying party's not over, right? We're just going to keep printing, right? Bubble, 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 right? Is Bitcoin the part of the bubble, or is Bitcoin the solution to the bubble? I'm of the thinking that's the solution to the bubble. So while the stock indexes just go on and on and on and on, new high after new high after new high, eventually it's gonna be ugly, right? But not to digress into that. Okay, what am I doing? 30 minutes. Okay, so right now as it sits here, it looks like something has it looks like something has completed. All right, so I got 5, I got 3. Am I done here? Well, you could certainly squeeze it in there. God, it's ugly though. When I'm on a 30-minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's so ugly. I'm hesitant to label it, but you could do it. We don't overlap the one, right? So it's an impulse, right? But it just, oh shit, are we? Yeah, I think we are here. Let's just double check that. Just double check here. Yep. Okay. So just making sure that 5 wasn't longer than 3, right? As we said, right? One rule can never be broken. So 3 is longer than 5. So the extension's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, not much of a 5 here, but there it is, right? So we can get a 5. Now, what are we doing here? Jeez, I mean, it really, this would, oh, Jesus. So it'd have to be, oh, God, A, B, Jesus, A, B, C. Oh, that's just, so, again, it's not even worth counting, right? Until it shapes up, can we even, yeah, well, it occurs to me you might have to truncate here to get more complexity into that, right? So it's possible we've got to do that, although I go to a truncation reluctantly, but that would clean this up a little bit. Maybe you might be stuck with that. I'm not gonna go there until I'm forced to. All right, truncation, last resort. But what do you do with that? You don't, right? There's nothing you can do with it. So what would you do if you're bullish? Well, I'd start looking for anything technical that I could work with. Well, I don't have it here. I'm too deep here. Both broken on the other side. I don't have it here. Oh, maybe, right? The edge of the median lines here. I need something technical. I just got chop. Now we get a big can. Well, this is what time did that happen? Well, that's right as the Fed started speaking. All right, so here's it's 8:30 my time. Is likely the reaction to the Fed, right? Party on. So this is the move. Now, dealing with this, there are usually 1 or 2 areas where the counts break down. Right? There's just nothing you can do with it. Now, we may be back here recounting this, but right now I think this is just, what are we doing here, right? We're just in an algo box, right? We're just going sideways. One algo competing with the next. All right. Software doesn't care who wins. Long or short, they're just after a target. Right? As long as they make money, right? If they have to reverse, they reverse. Right? So 1, 2, we're just in this box. Let's call it, we'll use the 65 here. Well, let's call it from 50 to 46.2. We're stuck. All right, until we get out of that box. Let me take that off. So here's the last significant golden zone pivot. We're not to this one yet, but you can see the bumping of our heads here at the 50. Looks like that might have another leg to go. So just looking inside of that, I kind of looks like maybe you'd have to start on an impulse or a diagonal. That's more looks like, boy, that's just ugly, right? It's just not there to count. So if this kicks up a little further, oh God, you barely can. 1, 2, working, trying to get a 3, 4, 5 to go. Again, it's not even worth trying until it reveals a little bit more. Right now, that's really uncountable. I mean, you could, oh shit, probably go down to a 1 minute and come up with something. But I don't think there's any value add there. Right now, I've got a golden zone here. I'm between a 50 and a golden zone here, so there's nothing really to do until I see which way resolve. Okay, if I'm going to break this golden zone, then I know I got to consider a recount. Now, the last thing to consider is, could we squeeze it all in? How am I doing? 35 minutes. Okay, if this is 4 and this is not going to be 5, right? Well, this is as far as I've got to go. I don't think we can make it work, because if you think, okay, well, we can keep this one. Let's assume that breaks, and we're going to have to count this as 1, 2. Well, 3. Let's just do the math here. The fib swings 1, 2. Okay, well, let's count it out. All right, if this is 1 and that's 2, well, let's use 100. Say we can get to 100. 3, 4, 5. It would be tight, but it looks like you could do it. Oh, let's put micro on that. Let's go to yellow so it stands out. All right, so if that's the 1, that's the 2. We'll go 3 here, 100, right? I mean, we could go higher, right? And then all this blows up, but that's a minimum requirement. Down for the 4, up for the 5. So draw it out. 3, 4. Can't get there, right? It has to stop right there. 3, 4. Maybe we, we don't make the median line here, and we get the pivot here. But it's really cutting it mighty close to get your C relative to the B that's way down here. Wouldn't be too far with regards to where a B might go, as long as we stay, as we first looked. Because I keep forgetting where I've got it here. As long as we stay, what's that? 887 is at 60 and change. As long as we stay. No, here, I mean, even here we'd be at 57. So you could still, God, let me pull that out. You could still make that work. It could still be A, B, seeking the C up here before we start down for the D, E, and if it's going to be a triangle, we'd end up out here. All right, so it's doable. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how close we come to that, and if we blow out of here, boy, then it's really going to get interesting as to how we're going to count that, right? That's if you're long Bitcoin, this is a high class problem, but we're not there yet. All right, let's see. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. There's 37 minutes. This is interesting, exciting, interesting, all of the above, right? The challenge of solving the puzzle to get on the right side of it, seeing the algos respond, right? So that's indisputable evidence, I'd like to think. We don't have to wonder about what's happening there. The other thing, I sit here, look at the Vegas wave, right? Look how good the Vegas wave is. Just as long as we stay above the Vegas wave, trend is intact. All right, we got a little chop here, clearly down, retest, below, now retest, retest, retest. It's not easy trading, but Bitcoin often is challenging, right? So for the Elliottician, I mean, the other thing, just sitting here looking at this, right, just off the B low to the highest high we've got, I'm going to take this and hide it, just kind of clean it up a little bit. So we're first little break. So if I go swing low to swing high, you see it in there. There's the first little break of our regression channel. All right, so there's 2 standard deviations from the mean. So that's, okay, so a little throw over, that's not terribly shocking. You might get something like this and just push it up a little closer. Okay, so I got a sliding parallel on my regression channel. As long as we don't break it, something like that, well, then right, something else is going on. But right now, it looks like that could just be what's happening here. Again, note Vegas wave right on the edge of it. We didn't quite get there. But good, just general, like above bullish, below bearish. Looks pretty good. I think that covers, what am I doing, 39 minutes? That's probably long enough. Okay, so there we go. So this is the conundrum, right? So either we're in, all right, and we're working through the start of what will be a deeper correction as all of this sets up to go lower. All right, maybe we go higher. Now we come down. This will be, oh God. I should have redrawn. This will be the big test. All right. If we come back down here, we'd have failure to make the median line. We'd have a move equal to or greater than. Do we break here? Right. If we're breaking down, then we start to look a little bit more like the 5 is in here. The C of the B at the largest degree is in, and we'd be starting into either 1 or A. Oh shit! I mean, I suppose this could be it's a zigzag, right? So there's a couple different things how this could resolve. But if we start heading down here, then we can, I think, more fully lean into the idea. Back where I started, that we've got the B. Now we're heading down for the C, and a reasonable target here being low 30s. C, D, E. All right, guys, I had a few, I had some indicator, a couple other things, but I think we've gone at 40 minutes. That's enough time, right? So there you go. Just a reminder, this is a really, really handy little thing that we give you. Lots of detail. And see, it's not the diagram. It's this, all the lower part. That's really where all the value is. Right, in terms of you trying to figure out where are the rules, where are the guidelines, what are the common fib relationships. Positions where this is simple and where it would be where you would find it. I mean, these are, if you're an Elliottician, that's really, I think, infinitely more valuable than just the book by itself, right? Prechter's book. This is much more detail. Right, so keep that in mind. That's an option for you. This is going to be fascinating to watch how it unfolds here. But with that, I will wish you guys a good weekend. Remind you can always join us, and live streams are on. We'll be back with Monday. I know we had a little unexpected event last Monday, so we tried to make it up on Tuesday. But so we're going fully Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Looks like Sensei Tudum is going to step in on that, and then of course we'll keep up the Bitcoin Fridays. Okay, guys, you have a great weekend, and we'll be back next week.